Hello everyone, welcome to Not Another Marvel channel, and today I'm going to guide you on how to watch the entire MCU in just 28 days. Now I know, many of you have dropped off the MCU since Avengers Endgame, and that's okay. Some of you might even dabbled in a few properties here and there, a few TV shows and films, and realized that they are not very good. And that's okay too. But you might have caught wind that there's a new Avengers movie coming out at the end of 2026. And you might be wondering, well, how do I catch up? How do I watch all of these shows and films in the right order in order for me to be up to date and know what's happening in Avengers Doomsday? Well, you've clicked on the right video. And this video is perfect if you haven't got a lot of time. If you do have all the time in the world, then check out my other video, how to watch the MCU the right way, which contains absolutely everything connected to the MCU. That will take about 28 years. But before we begin, this is a proper binge video. So if you are keen to invite your friends over for a pajama party, bring some snacks, spend a lot of hours watching these films and TV shows, then this is perfect for you. In fact, I would say treat this like a work day, like a 9 to 5 kind of job, because each day will require you to commit about 8 to 10 hours. Now, you don't have to spend 8 to 10 hours a day watching all of these films and TV shows. In fact, you can do it however you want. Each day you can split it down into 2 days, for example, a Saturday and Sunday, and watch 2 movies instead of 4. You can even split this into 28 weeks, because to be fair, even if you start at the beginning of 2026 and watch each day throughout a week, you'll still be able to catch up and watch everything before Avengers Doomsday. So however you want to watch this, treat it like a work day, a 9 to 5 kind of job. You know, start at 9 a.m, watch a couple of movies, have lunch at 1, and then smash out another couple of films. And by the time you're done at 6:30, then it's time for dinner. But I will not hold you any longer. Let's get into how to binge the MCU in 28 days. Okay, ready? Day 1. We're going to start with Captain America, the First Avenger. We are not going to watch Eyes of Wakanda, which technically comes before it, even though it's really, really good. You don't need to watch it. So start with Captain America, the First Avenger. Steve Rogers is a pillar of the MCU. And so without watching this film, you're missing out on a lot of context. So it introduces us to a lot of important characters. Steve Rogers, Peggy Carter, Bucky Barnes, and to some extent even the Red Skull and Onion Zola. So that's what we're going to start off with. Then the next movie we're going to watch is Captain Marvel. Yes, this is important. In fact, I think all of the films in the Infinity Saga is worth watching. Captain Marvel, an introduction to a new character, gives us a bit of context to the character, because we do see her pop up again all the way in Avengers Endgame. You don't see her in anything else until Avengers Endgame. So it would be a little unusual if you skip this, because you wouldn't know who Captain Marvel is. Okay, then the last 2 films we're going to watch in day 1 is Iron Man and Iron Man 2. Essential movies to watch. Tony Stark, the grandfather of the MCU, another pillar to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Super important to watch. Introduces us to some really important characters such as Black Widow, James Rhodes' War Machine, Pepper Potts. So definitely worth watching Iron Man 1 and 2. That's day 1 done. How long will that take? 8 hours and 17 minutes. Let's move on to day 2. Okay, day 2. We're going to start off with The Incredible Hulk. Now, I think this film is really underrated, but it gives us a little bit of an introduction to who Bruce Banner is. We get introduced to Betty Ross and General Thaddeus Ross, who is an important character moving forward. He will pop up again. And yeah, we get introduced to a character called the Abomination. So The Incredible Hulk, even though it's fans may be a little bit mixed about it, I still reckon you should watch it. Then we're going to watch The Consultant one-shot. Now, this is important because at the end of Incredible Hulk, there's an end credit scene that is quite open ended, and we're not sure where that goes. So the consultant one shot ties that all up. Now, the whole purpose of this binge video is it's for you to understand all the Easter eggs and characters that you'll see. And so I don't want any loose ends for those who are just watching it for the first time. So watch the consultant one shot. The best place to watch this is on YouTube. Just Google it and you're good to go. Then we're going to watch Thor, the first Thor movie. Again, we are introducing us to another pillar of the MCU. And we're introduced to some amazing characters such as Loki, who is a massive player in the MCU, along with like Jane Foster, the Warriors 3, Odin. So many great characters in Thor to watch, so definitely worth a watch. And then the big event, we're going to watch the Avengers. Actually, I forgot. Thor also introduces us to Clint Barton, so Hawkeye. Of course, we're going to watch that. So really, really good. Then we're going to watch the Avengers. The massive team up, the moment we've all been waiting for, the Avengers. And to end day 2, we are going to watch Thor: The Dark World. Now, I personally did not like this movie, but that's okay. It's still important to watch. It introduces us to our Infinity Stone, and Avengers Endgame kind of references it. Well, not kind of. It really references it, this film, later on. So that's the end of day 2. 8 hours and 6 minutes. That's your commitment. Let's move on to day 3. Okay, day 3. We're going to start with Iron Man 3. An underrated film. Really great to see the aftermath and how Tony Stark deals with the events of the Avengers, but it still moves the character of Tony Stark forward. Then we're going to watch All Hail the King one-shot, because we are introduced to Trevor Slattery, and we're kind of wondering what happens to him. So this one-shot ties that all up, and it kind of answers why he pops up in another movie way down the track. Now, again, you can watch this All Hail the King one-shot on YouTube. The best place to watch it is on YouTube, as this was released on like a Blu-ray. So check that out. Then we're going to watch Captain America: The Winter Soldier, a phenomenal movie. Definitely a must watch. Introduces us to like Falcon, Sharon Carter, and I won't give any more details because it's so good. Then we're going to finish off day 3 with Guardians of the Galaxy and Guardians of the Galaxy 2. It's almost like a brand new group of characters, and it's a really great way to end day 3. How long would this take? 8 hours and 57 minutes. Let's move on to day 4. Okay, day 4, we're going to watch 4 more films. We're going to kick it off with the Avengers: Age of Ultron. This, again, expands the universe, introduces us to 2 new characters in the form of Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, as well as Vision, and hey, that's more than 2, isn't it? It doesn't matter. It introduces us to so many new characters. Definitely a must watch. Then we're going to watch Ant-Man. Another character who I would say isn't necessarily a pillar of the MCU, but plays a significant role in the narrative moving forward. So Ant-Man is next. Then we're going to watch Captain America: Civil War. This is almost like an Avengers film. So definitely check this out. Introduces us to characters like Zemo, and it really divides the Avengers community in interesting ways. And then we're going to finish off day 4 with Black Widow. Now take note, Black Widow takes place in the last maybe 30 minutes of Captain America: Civil War. It fits in within that little chunk, so just be aware of that. And the last thing I would say is do not watch the end credit scene. If you haven't watched Avengers Endgame, I would suggest that you stop the movie as the credits roll, and then once Avengers Endgame is done, then watch the end credit scene to Black Widow. How long will this take? Exactly 9 hours. Let's move on to day 5. All right, kicking off day 5, we are going to watch Black Panther. Again, we're continuing on building the world of the MCU. And Black Panther, even though we saw him in a previous film, This time, we're digging a little bit deeper into the world of Wakanda. We're introduced to characters such as M'Baku and Shuri, Nakia, Okoye, fantastic ensemble of characters. Then we're going to watch Spider-Man Homecoming, MCU's first Spider-Man film. Again, Tom Holland does a great job in portraying Peter Parker, and we're introduced to characters such as Vulture, MJ, Ned Leeds, a really, really great cast. Then we're going to watch Doctor Strange. And again, we are building the universe of the MCU. And we're introduced to the realm of magic. And Doctor Strange is a perfect character to do just that. We're introduced to like the Ancient One and Wong, Baron Mordo. Really great characters. Then we're going to end day 5 with Thor Ragnarok. We're continuing on with the story of Thor and Loki while being introduced to new characters such as Valkyrie and Korg. Some really, really fun characters. So not a bad way to end day 5. It will take you 8 hours and 32 minutes to complete day 5. Let's move on to day 6. Excuse me while I have a snack break. This isn't a sponsored video. Alright, day 6. We're going to kick it off with Ant-Man and the Wasp. Again, we're going to get to know the characters a little bit more deeper, such as Scott Lang and Hope Van Dyne. We're introduced to Ghost, who will play quite a significant role much later down the track in the MCU. And don't watch the end credit scenes for this film either. I would suggest you watch the end credits until you watch Avengers Infinity War. Again, just YouTube it or pop up. Best way to watch it then. And then we're going to finish off the Infinity Saga with Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. What a way to finish off day 6. In 6 days, you completed the entire Infinity Saga. That's a good effort. So remember, after you watch Avengers Endgame, you can then watch the end credit to Black Widow, and you're good to go. That's day 6. 7 hours and 28 minutes. Let's move on to day 7. Okay, day 7. Now, if you've watched some of my other How to Watch the MCU timeline, you would know that I've put the MCU into narrative sections because I think watching it in chronological order is going to take too long. So, for example, I've tried doing this. I remember starting watching with Captain America, the First Avenger, then watching Agent Carter one-shot, and then 2 seasons of Agent Carter, Captain Marvel, and then moving all along to like Iron Man 2, and then watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then Daredevil, Jessica Jones. And by the time you get to Avengers Infinity War, you're exhausted, you're fatigued. And so I think a better way to watch it is in narrative chunks. So if you check out my other video, How to Watch the MCU the Right Way, you'll notice that I've side quest a lot of these shows. But for this video, I would completely get rid of side quest A. That's the Agent Carter and the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Side quests. That's too long. It's not necessary. You don't need to watch it, so we can move that aside. Side quest B, however, is the Defender Saga, which includes Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and the Punisher. Now, I would suggest you watch some of it. Not all of it is great, but the character that I believe will probably show up the most and play a significant role in the future of the MCU is Daredevil. So we're going to watch just the Daredevil series and the Defenders. And if you are not into the sort of dark and violent shows, then I would say you can omit the next few days and just jump to day 12 and start with Loki season 1. But if you are interested in watching this next section of the MCU, I'll put an asterisk next to it. So if you do, you can start with day 7. If you don't want to watch it, start with day 12. Okay, let's get into day 7. Day 7, we're going to watch Daredevil season 1. The first 10 episodes. Each episode is about 54 minutes. The last thing I want you to do is spend 13 hours watching a complete season. You can if you want to, but I want this to be doable. So just watch the first 10 episodes of Daredevil season 1. There's 13 episodes in each season, but we can sort of break it up a little bit for each day. So day 7, it will take 9 hours to watch the first 10 episodes of Daredevil Season 1. Let's move on to day 8. Okay, day 8, we're going to watch the rest of Season 1 of Daredevil, the last 3 episodes, and then we're going to start Daredevil Season 2, episodes 1 to 7. These shows are fantastic. It does really introduce us to some great characters that we will see again. Frank Castle is introduced in Season 2, and Claire Temple is like a consistent character that I think is really, really great. And of course, one of the best villains in the MCU, Wilson Fisk. So day 8 will take you 9 hours and 14 minutes. Finish off Season 1 of Daredevil, the first 7 episodes of Season 2. Let's move on to day 9. Okay, day 9, we're going to finish off Daredevil Season 2, episodes 8 to 13, so the last 5 episodes, and then we're going to start The Defenders, episodes 1 to 4. The Defenders is like a team up, so even if you haven't watched shows like Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, I think it's okay. It's important to watch this because it moves the story of Daredevil forward. The other characters you don't really need to know. Day 9, 8 hours and 50 minutes. Let's go on to day 10. Okay, day 10. We're going to start off and finish off the Defenders show, episodes 5 to 8. There's only 8 episodes in that season, so it's nice and short, and that should be all good. A good follow-up to The Defenders, though, is Daredevil Season 3, because... Actually, I won't spoil it. Just start off Daredevil Season 3. Watch the first 6 episodes, 1 to 6. Day 10 will take you 8 hours and 44 minutes. And then let's move on to day 11 to finish off the Defenders saga. Okay, day 11, we're going to complete Daredevil Season 3, episodes 7 to 13. This is a great way to sort of conclude the story of Matt Murdock and his friends. I haven't included the Punisher shows, even though they're so good. I just want to save you guys time. So, while it's a fantastic way of getting to know who Frank Castle is, because he will show up again, it's okay not to watch it. Day 11 will take you 6 hours and 18 minutes just to finish off Daredevil Season 3. Let's move on to day 12. Okay, day 12. We are coming back to the main MCU with Loki Season 1. Now, if you haven't watched... Excuse me again. If you haven't watched if you've skipped the Daredevil shows and the Defenders shows, Loki Season 1 is a great follow-up to Avengers Endgame. So Loki Season 1 again continues on with Loki's story and the event that we saw in Avengers Endgame, but it really opens up to what we now call it as the Multiverse Saga, meaning that now we get to explore other timelines and universes that are connected to the MCU, and you'll see how it all works in the next few days. And then after Loki Season 1, we're going to watch What If Season 1. Excuse me. I shouldn't have had those crackers. We're going to watch What If Season 1. Now, this is an animated series, but it kind of tells stories that you would have seen in the Infinity Saga, but just told a little bit differently. And we are going to explore the multiverse. So it's definitely worth watching. We are introduced to the Watcher, which maybe will pop up again in Avengers Doomsday. We'll see. But that day 12, will take you 9 hours and 18 minutes. Let's go on to day 13. Okay, day 13, we're going to watch WandaVision. This will take you 5 hours and 13 minutes. We're just going to watch this show. It really is a fantastic show. A great way to follow up from Avengers Endgame, explores the characters of Vision and Wanda, hence WandaVision, not Vision Wanda, and really, really great. Check it out. 5 hours, 30 minutes, a great day to spend. Let's move on to day 14. Day 14, we're going to start off with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. a lot of these shows we get to see what happens after Avengers Endgame, and so in this instance we see what happens with Falcon and Bucky Barnes. And again, we get to explore more of their story and the characters and how they've grown since the Infinity Saga. We're introduced to U.S. Agent John Walker. Yeah, again, a character that will play a significant role later on in the MCU. Then we're going to watch Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, in this multiverse saga, we are beginning to be introduced to new characters, and Shang-Chi is one of those characters. So day 14 will take you 7 hours and 42 minutes, and let's continue to expand the universe. Let's move on to day 15. All right, day 15. Day 15, we're going to watch the Fox's X-Men saga. Now, the reason why I've put the X-Men movies here is because in Loki Season 1, we are introduced to the concept of the multiverse. And then when you watch What If Season 1, we get to explore different stories in alternate timelines. And X-Men fits into the whole multiverse idea really, really well. Now, with the Fox's X-Men saga, we're not going to watch all of it because not all of it is good. So we're going to kick it off with the first X-Men film. Introduces us to Hugh Jackman, James Marsden, Halle Berry, great characters, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen. And for those who don't know who those characters are, Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Professor X, Magneto. Really, really great cast. A great way to introduce us to the X-Men. Then we're going to watch X2, a great follow-up to the first film. We're introduced to Nightcrawler. Such a great opening scene for X-Men 2. And then we're going to watch X-Men The Last Stand. So we're going to watch the entire X-Men trilogy to familiarize ourselves with the original cast. And then to finish it off with day 15 is we're going to watch the Wolverine. Not X-Men Origins Wolverine, because that was bad. But we're going to watch the Wolverine, the one set in Japan. Again, we're following Logan, the Wolverine's journey throughout the Fox's X-Men saga. And you could say that the Fox's X-Men is anchored with Wolverine. So that will take you 8 hours and 27 minutes. The end credit scene to the Wolverine also links to Days of Future Past. So definitely worth a watch. Let's move on to day 16. Okay, day 16, we are continuing on with the X-Men saga. And we're going to kick it off with X-Men First Class. Now, this film is kind of like a prequel and introduces us to a younger cast of the X-Men. The reason why we put this here is because even though it's set before the first X-Men film, I think it's better to watch it here because you get cameos that I think will be more impacting if you watch this after knowing the original cast. And then when you get to X-Men Days of Future Past, which is the next film, you would have gotten to know the original cast and then this new younger cast, and Days of Future Past will be a much more better experience watching it that way. We are not going to watch X-Men Apocalypse and X-Men Dark Phoenix because those movies were bad. Okay? And then we're going to watch Deadpool, the first Deadpool film. Really, really fantastic. And then we're going to finish off day 16 with Logan. This will take you 8 hours and 28 minutes for day 16. Let's move on to day 17. All right, day 17. We're going to kick it off with Deadpool 2. And this will be the end of the X-Men saga. You would have noticed that I haven't included movies such as New Mutants. That, again, is probably... No, it's not significant. And it wasn't that great either. So we've omitted that one. After Deadpool 2, though, we're going to watch other Fox's 20th Century Fox films. So we're going to watch Daredevil, the Ben Affleck Daredevil. This movie hasn't aged well, but it's important to watch because characters from this movie pops up again in like Deadpool and Wolverine. So watch Daredevil. I would suggest you watch the director's cut version of this film because the theatrical was okay. The director's cut just really gives more light to Matt Murdock as a lawyer, and I think it's a better film. And then we're going to watch Fantastic Four, the one with Chris Evans as Human Torch, Jessica Alba, Ewan Griffith, and Michael Chiklis. And yeah, again, characters from here are super important to get familiar with, and also watch Rise of the Silver Surfer, the sequel to the Fantastic Four film. This will take you 7 hours and 1 minute. Let's move on to day 18. Okay, day 18, we are going to kick it off with one of the earliest MCU films with Blade. Now, the Blade trilogy, I would say, is a lot of fun, but if you're not into vampire films, this might not be for you. But again, just watch the first Blade movie because it's good for you to know who this character is. And then we're going to come back to the main MCU timeline, the sacred timeline, and watch Spider-Man Far From Home. We are now entering the Spider-Verse Saga. Spider-Man Far From Home is a great continuation from Avengers Endgame. We get to see how Peter Parker is going after those events. And then, yeah, Spider-Man Far From Home. And then we're going to watch the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. So 4 movies on this day. That will take you 8 hours and 17 minutes. Let's head over to day 19. Okay, day 19. We are going to conclude the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy with Spider-Man 3. These Spider-Man films are really, really great. And again, really essential for you to watch when you get to Spider-Man No Way Home. Sandman, Venom, and a few other characters. But yeah, Spider-Man 3 is really good. And then we're going to finish off day 19 with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man films, The Amazing Spider-Man and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Again, some really great characters. Gwen Stacy, super iconic scene in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. You have a pretty dodgy Rhino. You get introduced to the Lizard and Electro. Again, super important characters because they will pop up again. So, day 19 will take you 6 hours and 57 minutes. A shorter day. Let's move on to day 20. Okay, day 20. We are going to kick it off with the Tom Hardy's Venom film. Now, this is a Sony property. It's probably not the most enjoyable film, but I'm just going to slot it in here because I don't want you guys to watch any end credit scene and not understand its context. So I'm going to put Venom here. You don't have to watch the rest of it. Just want you to be familiar with the character of Tom Hardy's Venom. And then we're going to watch Spider-Man No Way Home. This is a fantastic film. So all the Spider-Man movies that you watched before, including Venom, plays a role, I guess, in this Spider-Man No Way Home film. And then we're going to finish off day 20 with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We're going to explore more of the multiverse and characters that you would have seen in shows like What If and the Fantastic Four films. I guess watching those films prior to this film will make it a more enjoyable experience. So day 20 will take you 6 hours and 26 minutes. Let's move on to day 21. Okay, day 21, we are going to watch 2 shows. We're going to watch Hawkeye, which takes place around the Christmas season and a little bit after Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. We get to see what Clint Barton is up to after the events of Avengers Endgame, and we're introduced to Kate Bishop, and you might be surprised to see a character return from the Daredevil series. I won't spoil it if you haven't watched it, but a really, really great show. And then following Hawkeye, we're going to watch Echo. Again, Echo, I wouldn't say it's my favorite show, but again, it moves some of the characters that we will see again forward, and I'll leave it at that. So that's day 21. It would take you 8 hours and 45 minutes to complete. Let's move on to day 22. Yeah. Okay, day 22, we are going to kick it off with Moon Knight. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether Moon Knight will return in the MCU, but Oscar Isaac does such a phenomenal job playing the character that I couldn't exclude it. You would have noticed that I haven't included things like Eternals, because there was too many loose ends for a viewer to sort of figure out, and I don't know whether they're going to return. Um, but Moon Knight, for example, I think is a really great show, so definitely worth a watch. And then unfortunately, we're going to watch Thor: Love and Thunder. Now, this movie, for me personally, is one of Marvel's worst, but we kind of need to continue the journey of Thor and Jane Foster, and Valkyrie. So while it's not the greatest, I guess it introduces us to like other gods, but yeah, this was a rough one. So this is where we get to a point in the MCU where things were not the best. But check it out anyway. Day 22 will be 7 hours. Okay, let's move on to day 23. Okay, day 23, we're going to kick it off with Ms. Marvel. We're introduced to Kamala Khan, and this is a great show. I really love this character. And then we're going to watch Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Again, we're going to continue on seeing how many of the characters that you would have been introduced to in the Infinity Saga, how they're going after the events of Avengers Endgame. So again, we get to see characters such as Shuri and M'Baku, and we're introduced to a character called Namor, which is really, really great. So another world-building kind of film. So yep, definitely check that out. And then we're going to finish it off with The Marvels, which brings together characters that we would have seen from Captain Marvel, for example, as well as Ms. Marvel, the show we've just watched, as well as characters from WandaVision. So this movie is, I guess it's not the greatest film. I guess the most important aspect of this film is the end credit scene. So yeah, definitely check that out. So day 23 will take you 8 hours and 56 minutes. Let's move on to day 24. Day 24, we're going to have a little bit of fun with Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. And then we're going to watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This concludes the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy. And just like I've been saying, when we are watching movies of characters that we already know after the events of Avengers Endgame, we get to see how they've responded to those events. And so this is a fantastic film. Really explores Rocket Raccoon's history, and really sort of makes a massive change to the roster at the end of this film. And then we're going to finish day 24 with Loki Season 2. This show is a must watch because it really does impact what you will see moving forward and how this affects the entire multiverse. So Loki Season 2 is absolutely essential. Day 24 will take you 8 hours and 10 minutes. Let's move on to day 25. Okay, now day 25 is an animated kind of day. We're going to watch What If Season 2. We're going to continue to explore stories from the multiverse. But the end of it, I guess, connects to Loki Season 2. And then we're going to watch X-Men 97. I think it's really good for us to get to know the characters of the X-Men, especially when you get to Deadpool and Wolverine, which is the next day. And maybe, I guess, in Avengers Doomsday, we'll see whether they will wear similar outfits to what you will watch in X-Men 97. But X-Men 97 is so good. And even if you haven't watched the original 90s series, I think the way that Marvel Studios have told this story in X-Men 97 is really accessible for those who haven't watched it. So definitely check that out. Day 25 will take you 8 hours and 40 minutes. Let's move on to day 26. Okay, day 26, we're going to kick it off with Deadpool and Wolverine. Now, this movie, for me, was one of the best things Marvel have released. And when you watch this film, you will be thankful that you would have watched everything before it, because this film makes so many references, and hopefully in this watch list that no Easter eggs would have gone missed. So Deadpool Wolverine, really, really great. And then we're going to finish day 26 with What If Season 3. We're going to conclude the What If series. I'm not entirely sure whether Avengers Doomsday and Secret War will reference any of this, but I feel like it's important to sort of conclude the story of Captain Carter and the Watcher. So day 26 will take you 6 hours and 37 minutes. Let's move over to day 27. Okay, day 27. We're going to start with Daredevil Born Again. Now, this is a show that is a continuation of the Daredevil series that you may have watched in the previous days. If you haven't watched them, I think this is still okay for you to jump on board with. But if you have watched the previous shows, this will be a great continuation for that. It is pretty violent and pretty brutal, so just be aware of that if you're watching it with kids. And then we're going to finish day 27 with Captain America Brave New World. Now, this movie kind of links to the Eternals, but I feel like you don't need to watch the Eternals to watch this one. And while this movie is quite mid and quite average, I think it's still okay. We're introduced to like Joaquin Torres's Falcon, and the Red Hulk, and characters from the Incredible Hulk, which you would have watched on like day 2, return here. So even though it's a big gap, you just watch it anyway. This will take you 9 hours and 13 minutes. A bit of a longer day, day 27, but hey, I believe in you. Let's move over to day 28. Day 28 almost takes us to what have been released at this time of recording. So we're going to watch Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, this movie is set in an alternate timeline. So because you now understand the concept of the multiverse, Fantastic Four First Steps wouldn't be too much of a strange shift for you. But Fantastic Four First Steps is really good. The end credit scene, again, teases the next Avengers film. So we're getting to the tail end of the Multiverse Saga, and we're on the home stretch for Avengers Doomsday. Then we're going to watch Thunderbolts. Another fantastic film. Again, it brings back a lot of characters that we've seen before, and the end credit scene again links to Avengers Doomsday. So that's really, really exciting. And I've added to day 28, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, this movie hasn't been released. In fact, it will come out halfway through 2026. But if you time this right, you might be able to watch all of this and catch Spider-Man Brand New Day at the cinema, which will be a lot of fun. So this day will probably take you about 6 hours, and that is it. That catches you up to date. Now, you would have seen that I haven't included shows like She-Hulk and Secret Invasion, and films like Quantumania, Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania. I don't know whether we need to, but if Avengers Doomsday happened to include some of those characters, then maybe I will, but I don't want you to sit through crappy shows. So that's the MCU in 28 days. That should prepare you for Avengers Doomsday. If you like this video, hit the like and subscribe button. That will really help the channel out. And leave me a comment down below if you're actually following this watch order. Now, again, you don't have to spend 28 days to do this. You can spend 28 weeks and spread them out across different days of the week if you don't want to watch so many things in one day. It's really up to you. Even if you start at the start of 2026 and watch all of this each week, you will still have plenty of time to catch up to Avengers Doomsday. So hopefully that was a helpful video. And at this time of recording, I'm not quite sure whether Marvel Zombies and shows like Wonder Man are important for this watch order, especially leading up to Avengers Doomsday, because I want to prepare you for Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. So this video might get a few updates depending on what we see in the next few Avengers films. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys. Again, hit the like, subscribe button, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.